There's just so much fabric. I'm gonna go in 1 inch. Hugging because it's so soft. So here it is when it's all tied up. All right, things that we're gonna need today. Vi's got them all assembled for us. Yes, Vi, take us to the first part. We are gonna need some fabric. I was inspired to do this project by watching people take all the blizzard and pill fleece and make tie blankets with it. There's gotta be something better we can do, and I found it. Some snaps, big large snaps, those are optional. Nice wide ribbon, or a fashion belt if you want. We've moved on to the usual suspects. Scissors, chalking, pinning, thread, and measuring tape, because on this project, we are making our very own pattern, which is pretty cool. It's a little basic pattern drafting lesson, as well as an adorable wrap. And if you're really cool, sometimes they will pre-cut it into 3 pieces for you. So let's get started. Okay, so however long you want your finished garment to be is how many inches you need in fabric, and it needs to be like 3 times. So for example, if you wanted to hit at the high hip right about here, you're gonna need 36 inches 3 times. So just buy yourself 3 yards, cut it into 3 equal sections. If you want a low hip, that's gonna be about 40 inches, so like roughly 4 yards, evenly split. And to start off, we only need 1 piece of fabric. We will leave that for Vi to inspect, and I'm gonna get the board set up so you can see what I'm doing. This is how the fabric comes off the bolt. The fold is here, the selvage is here, and this is 36 inches, which is what we actually want for our length, especially if you're doing like a longer piece, like a 46 inch piece. We're gonna make sure our edges match. So as you can see over here, I actually have this white part that's kind of wasting my pattern. And if I really wanted to, I could just cut this whole thing off, doubled at the end, but then I'm gonna end up losing 2 inches, 3 inches where I only need to lose 1. So I'm actually gonna take a minute to cut this part off. Okay, so now these are our selvage ends, and this is the fold. Now this part is gonna be the same for everybody. It doesn't matter what size. We're going to come, even this up. We're gonna use our ruler. We're gonna use whatever marking we prefer. So we're gonna come down 1 inch from the top. This is my friction pen. We'll see if it makes a mark, or if my chalk is better. They're both equally terrible. That's good to know. And then we're gonna come in 3 inches. Then you're gonna just draw a gentle curve, an oval, if you will, and cut it out. That is our neck hole, the back of our neck. Now, if you're using an extremely stretchy fabric, some of these fleeces can be very stretchy. You are going to want to stay stitch this, or even sew in a small piece of grosgrain right along this edge to make sure that it doesn't stretch out over time. Now, I hope you're ready, because we are going to do some math. Trust me, don't freak out, super easy. I told you not to panic, because this one's gonna be pretty easy. All you actually need is 2 measurements. The first measurement is gonna be the over bust to waist. So we're starting at the shoulder seam, like at the very top of your shoulder. We're coming down right over the bust, and we're taking it to wherever you want the waist closure on your garment to be. So if you're looking for an empire look, you're gonna stop here. If you're looking for like a natural waist, which is what I prefer, you're gonna come down a little further. For me, that's about an 18. Then we're gonna measure around. How much do we need to get from center to side seam? That can be a little hard sometimes to measure the exact center, but it is easier to find the side seam, especially if you have a shirt that has side seams. So you can go ahead and do side seam to side seam at the location where you're going to be putting that waistband, and then just divide the measurement in half if that's easier for you. I got 21, so that's 10.5. I want it to be a little bit looser, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and bump it up to an even 11. So what are we doing with those measurements? And more importantly, why do I have frothy fancy tea and cake? Because it's my birthday, and I'm terribly spoiled, of course. I have been personally assured that Vi checked the whipped cream to make sure that it was perfect. All we're gonna do is come in from the center, that 11 inches that we talked about earlier, and then we're gonna go down 18 inches. Now that mark is where we're going to put the snap if you did wanna have a little extra security in the closure of your garment. But I'm going to take it out 1 inch past that and make a line for my buttonhole. So I'm gonna make a buttonhole later in order to run a fashion belt through, perhaps to run the ribbon through, snap there, buttonhole for the ribbon there. The next thing I need to mark is what we're doing on the other side. So if you have pattern paper, great. I'm just gonna pin it and mark it and get ready with the next piece of fabric. So this is our back, and we're gonna do the front next, still using these measurements. We're gonna take our remaining 2 pieces. I'm gonna put my right sides together because my wrong side is a little more pale and I'm having a really hard time marking this with anything. We're gonna take a big deep yoga breath and find our center. Just kidding. And mark it with the method of your choice. Shake out our pieces and try to get everything to lay nice. Now, I know some of these really nice fleeces can be quite slippery, so this might be that time you gotta get out the pattern weights. I'm gonna be doing the majority of my cutting on this side. And we're gonna come over here 3 inches and make a mark because we do need to have the matching neckline on this side as well. I've just put a little snip in it for now. Going back to the center, we're going to measure over the same amount that we did earlier. In my case, that was 11 inches. And make a mark. And just like we did on the other one, we're gonna measure down 18 inches. The next part is just to connect these 2 lines. Your shoulder is gonna go all the way down to the mark that you just made. Now your body is round, but fabric is flat. So if we leave this as a straight diagonal line, it's going to bunch up around your neck, which may be a cute look that you're going for. But if you wanted to lay more flat, drop it in about an inch in the center and make this a curved line instead of a straight line. So that's our very, very gently curved line. But I'm gonna go in 1 inch, just enough to put my little snap if I want, and then straight down. All right, give me a moment to finish up my bottom, make it nice and even, because as you can see, I'm a good 3 inches off here, and I'll be right back. I'm sorry, did I say I was gonna even the ends up? I meant I was going to take a long and leisurely tea break while the sewing area cleans up. Okay, Vi has moved on, possibly with the assistance of treats. So now I have my back piece right side up and my 2 pieces that go on the front. Make sure, oops, sorry, right sides together. The corner lines up with the shoulder right here. You can see it's gonna be a nice little V neck. All right, so I'm gonna pin across here and run it through the serger. So it is tragically possible that I did not just record any of me sewing these seams. I was just explaining that you can do this just as well on a sewing machine if you needed to, if you don't have a serger. It's just gonna be fluffy for a while. The overlock nature of the serger means that we're cutting off and sealing the edge at the same time for a nice clean look. And of course, I'm always gonna press my seams for it to look professional and nice and not just homemade. Look how nice. Okay, we talked earlier about putting some stay stitching in on the edge to make sure that it doesn't stretch out over time. I was just sewing with navy blue last, and so I need to swap out my threads, of course. I have this little guide I think I stole from my mom's house. Put the bobbin on top of your thread, just like this. And now I know exactly which color matches when I'm ready to put another bobbin in. It's genius. I will be ordering a bunch more of these, and I will drop the link for you in the comments. Boop. All right, this is the second fun trip from this video. Did you know that on the designer series of Husqvarna machines, a lot of them you can thread right from the needle. So my machine is fully threaded. I just need a little bit of this green on this bobbin. So I'm going to take it all the way up and across my machine. This little bar protects the plastic. It does need to be on a metal foot. So that thread is gonna go under a metal foot. If you do a plastic one, it'll kind of wear through the plastic. So here's the needle, it's threaded under the foot, up to this little guard, across this little protective bar, here, I'm skipping this tension dial because it already has the tension from the machine over here, and right into the normal bobbin threading position, and away it goes. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just there to keep the neckline from stretching out when we're done. Now that we have stopped Now that we've stopped the neckline from stretching out here, it's starting to really take shape. I told you guys this is a really quick and easy project, and you can actually just have this be your design, stop here, finish your edges. But I want it to wrap around and stay wrapped. So we're gonna take that little corner that we had, and we're gonna match it to that mark that we made. I marked it with a pin so you can see it a little better. And we're going to clip them together like this. This will keep this corner from hanging down flat. It'll take it across, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I have not found yet a genius sewing machine way to put these guys on, so I'm afraid that we're hand sewing. In snaps, you have a male and a female side, and this means that you have a side that's gonna be flat and a side that's gonna have like a ridge on it. You always want this super flat side against your skin. So because I'm gonna be taking this one and going to the inside, I'm gonna do the male part on this side. As you're sewing these, if you find that you would like it to drape a little higher, a little lower, this is your time to just change exactly where you're putting the snap. So when I fully extend this sleeve out all the way like this, I would like my snap not to come down, but rather to come up a little bit. So that's where I'm gonna put it, because I wanna keep it high and at my natural waist. Try it on and pin it before you actually sew it on, and just trust your marks. Remember that thing where we put away our first toy before we bring out the other toy to play with? We don't do that around here, but it is time to finish up the wrap. We may remember that we had some little marks where we were gonna put our ribbon. All we're gonna do is make a buttonhole in that space. Now I will be putting a little bit of this stabilizer in between the two layers of fabric to make that buttonhole a little bit smoother. This is tear and wash, so I'm just gonna tear it away when I'm finished, and any remaining will just wash out. It's a Husqvarna product. Not sponsored yet. We're gonna go find those marks, and it should be right outside where you put your clip if you decided to go with that step. We're gonna take our 2 layers and we're gonna put our buttonhole right there through both layers. So it's gonna be both pinning the side together like a side seam and creating a nice professional looking hole for our ribbon to flow through. As always, I'm using my Epic 2. Her name's Freya, if anyone was wondering. It's not cheating, it's using your tools. That's what a customer told me recently. We have this super easy buttonhole fit. I'm gonna make sure that it's in the right spot. The white notch needs to line up with the white thing. Now the buttonholes do sew backwards, so you see that I came all the way to the bottom of my triangle. There's my bottom pin. All right, this might be a little thick. It might be a little slippery, so we might have to do it the old-fashioned way. Luckily, we also have our standard buttonhole foot. So this is our automatic buttonhole foot, and this is our standard buttonhole foot. So I'm gonna see if this wants to behave any better. Okay, in this style buttonhole, we're gonna push the start-stop button to reverse the direction of the buttonhole. This is the width of my ribbon, so I need it to be sewing backwards for that long before I hit the reverse button. I mean, this is just the kind of low-tech way to do it. That looks good to me, so I'm gonna hit the reverse button. I'm gonna go to the next part of the buttonhole. There's our buttonhole, and all I'm gonna do is put my pin at the top of my buttonhole. Gosh, it's so soft. It's gonna be so nice when it's done. Grab my seam ripper, put it in the bottom of the buttonhole, slowly rip your way up to the pin. So the reason we have the pin there is so that it stops tearing when it gets to the top. All right, let's do the other side. But there it is, my 2 buttonholes. Okay, as far as finishing the edges, there's a few things that you can do. If you have a cover stitch machine, you can go around the whole edge with your cover stitch. That means we're gonna turn it in and it's gonna have a top stitch. Fleece does not unravel, so you can actually leave the edges raw, or you can do a 3-thread or a picot rolled edge hem on your serger, and I think we all know which one I'm about to choose. As always, I'm using my trusty and beloved Amber 600 Air Threader from Husqvarna Viking. I'm just gonna look for the 3-thread rolled edge. I actually have to change a lot. I just took 1 needle out, and check this out. It actually changes all of the tensions for me, so I don't have to fuss with it, which is so cool. I'm also gonna go over here and tell it that I'm working with a knit. I'm just gonna go all the way around the edge, all the way around the back, and hit everything with this rolled edge hem just to make it look a little more professional. Again, this won't unravel, so it's not a necessary step. Perfect. Okay, so the 3-thread rolled edge hem just kind of captures those stitches, makes it nice and smooth. I really like it for if I cut a little bit janky, you can just smooth it out really easily during this process. This is when I had my stitch finger in and it wasn't rolling over properly. It's still a pretty stitch, but it looks more like a 4-thread overlock. And then I popped my stitch finger out for the rolled edge hem. Look how beautiful and smooth that looks. Even though it says so in the directions, I still make mistakes sometimes. I'm just gonna go over this when I hit that edge. There's just so much fabric. We just serged all those edges. I'm gonna pop this up. It's taking shape now. So as you can see on my mannequin, this little buttonhole that we made goes right under the arm, and that's what's used to kind of keep the garment and give it structure. So the last step is to turn it around, find your center back, find your buttonhole, and we're gonna take this ribbon and just do one single straight line down the middle to keep it in place so that when it threads through the button, it doesn't sag in the back. But this step is also completely optional. I have a cousin with an amazing collection of like fashion belts, and if that's the case, you wouldn't put the ribbon on. You would just use one of your cool statement piece belts every time you wore this, and you could swap them out, which is really fun as well. So, all right, here's the completed piece. I do need to still trim my little edges, but this is how you would put it on. If you wanted to be extra snug, you have the snap right here on the inside, and then we're just gonna thread our ribbon through the two buttonholes, and then once you have them, you don't have to undo them again. Here's my other side, hugging because it's so soft. Tie in the center, tie on the side. It's totally up to you. I'm gonna tie on this side so I can reach it. Oh gosh. One of the ladies at work is like, Kaedy, you gotta learn how to tie bows. I'm working on it, okay guys? Oh, I think this one's gonna be pretty. Hold on. Yes, okay. So there it is, you have your sleeves. They're gonna stay closed, they're gonna keep the chill out. I love that it's very adjustable for people who maybe have disability issues or it's hard for them to get in and out of constrictive jackets. This is a great fit. It's also perfect for Texas where the inside air conditioning can be like 60 degrees and outside it's 80. And it's a great gift because we can kind of get close to the size. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you are a little longer in the arm like I am and you want to figure out how to make a piece that goes down all the way to your wrist, message me, and if we have enough tall people, I'll go ahead and make another video showing you how to do that. Speaking of amazing gifts, I'm going to have a toddler activity blanket video out soon. You can check it out, and it's going to teach you all sorts of new exciting skills, buttonholes, zippers, all those things that you are going to use as fundamental stepping steps as fundamental stepping stones in everything that you make sewing wise. So it's like a lot of those basic skills and a fun, beautiful gift you can give to somebody. So check that one out. Let me know who you're giving yours to or if you're wearing it yourself. And we'll check you next time. Go make something beautiful today.